Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little Q&A. I haven't done one of these in a while and they're some of the easiest videos for me to film. So that's what we're doing today. Sorry it's been a couple weeks out since I've been able to get a main channel video out. My health has been rough and then just like dealing as always with life stuff. I just want to note right off the bat that if I don't answer a question, if you left me a question on Instagram and I'm not getting to it, it might be because I've already answered it a bunch of times, or it might be because I already have like a full video dedicated to like whatever that topic is here on my channel already. So please feel free to check out my previous Q&As or just look at the videos on my channel to see if that topic has already been covered. Also, this video is going to be unscripted, so sorry in advance if it's clunky or awkward or anything. It's just gonna be like a little FaceTiming moment, a little off-the-cuff moment. Let's get started. The first question is, what are your current favorite activities and toys? To be totally honest, it's been like a rough 2 months. I haven't been able to do very much, so I guess for activity, any time that I can go outside in my yard, definitely that, and sit on my outdoor bed. One thing that was really fun, we had the harvest moon recently, which is the full moon that occurs closest to the equinox, and this year it took place in October. It was a couple weeks ago. So I did moon gazing outside with some of my stuffed animals, and we had a little tea party to celebrate one of my stuffed animals' birthday. So that was definitely the most fun I've had in quite a while. The activity is just lying outside and like witnessing all of the little signs of fall, like hearing the acorns fall, watching the leaves fall. I love when they fall like on me. Next, how do you stay so positive and ignore the haters when they seem to be so loud sometimes? I think this should be scripted. I'm so sorry, you guys. I think because I have been in this space so long, I can kind of anticipate all of the hate that I'm gonna get and all of the things that people are gonna say, and I just don't care. I really just don't care. Like, it has not, at the end of the day, people's hate and what they comment truly doesn't actually have that much to do with me. I try to show my life as authentically as I can and my personality as authentically as I can, but at the end of the day, like, you guys don't know me. Like, it just doesn't really have anything to do with me, if that makes sense. And I'm really used to it as well. I know what's true about my life. I know what's true about, like, things in general. I have critical thinking skills. I have media literacy. Like, I think those two things are things that a lot of people lack, and a lot of hate comes from that place. It's just not my problem. Some stuff definitely bothers me. Things that are triggering can definitely bother me. So I just have to deal with those things. I talk to my therapist about those things, and sometimes I respond to hate when it looks like it could be an opportunity for me to educate the public about maybe a common misconception about disability, for example, or whatever it may be. So in a way, sometimes that hate is useful if it's coming from a standpoint that it illuminates a bigger problem in our society. I feel like it presents a good opportunity for me to make it a more educational response. As far as staying positive, I don't know that I stay positive, but I would like my content, I would like in general, of course it's not going to happen all the time and things aren't black and white, but in general, I would like people to come away from my content feeling neutral or better than before they watched it. Like, I would rather you watch a video of mine and go away either with something to think about or something that feels like good or assuring, if that makes sense. Like, I would rather be a more positive place online, so I try to present that way. I don't always, and it's hard not to get sucked into things sometimes, but in general, that's my goal, and I hope I'm at least moderately successful at it. Are there age regression products you don't like? Some just don't feel right for me, and I feel like less for it. So, 2 parts. I'm going to answer this question in 2 parts. Part 1, on face value, yes, of course there are products I don't like. Some, I don't really like many adult pacifiers. They are too big for my mouth. The shape, I don't like them. It's just way too much. Not the vibe. I don't like them. There's a lot of textures that I don't like, so if something is made out of a certain fabric, I can't, like, I don't even want to think about touching it. Things that don't fit my interests, there's tons of stuff. So that's part 1, is that yes, of course, there are some regression products I don't like. And 2, I want to frame this kindly, so I hope it doesn't seem harsh. If your age regression is centered online, or way you primarily engage with your regression is online, I would try to take a step back from that, and I would try to reevaluate going about your regression like that. And why I say that is, if you see age regressors online all using a certain type of product or a certain thing that doesn't resonate with you, you're saying you feel less for it, that is a red flag. That's concerning. I would take some time away from the internet, maybe even talk to a clinician about that, because I mean, obviously it's easier said than done, but especially with something vulnerable and personal like age regression, you do not want to be sort of easily influenced. And I get why it is like that, especially because it's such a niche online community where, you know, say you're an age regressor who prefers like darker colors. Might not see that represented in the pool of people that are posting about their regression, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it just because a lot of people in the community might like pink or might like this thing or this thing. Like, literally doesn't matter at all. It matters not at all. Like, your regression is valid no matter how it looks, unless it's bridging on something unhealthy or, you know, out of moderation or out of keeping with the rest of your life or something. But in terms of like just your interests and the items that you're incorporating in your regression, it literally could not matter less. Like, what you like and don't like. There's no one size fits all. If it looks like there's one size fits all online, that's just like the bias of looking at something only through the online lens, which makes sense because if it's a primarily online community, like, it's not like there's these big meetups of all these people that you're getting to know when you're seeing a lot of diversity. And I totally get that there's a huge lack of diversity. Totally get that, like, in a small niche online community, and I'm sorry that this is going on so long. But if you're seeing that and truly feeling like you're less for not liking something that other people like, my honest, most core opinion is please get off the internet. Please spend more time off the internet. Please, just please. Like, it's not worth it, and it's not that important. And like whatever you want. Like, I like plenty of things that I don't see other people post about. And it, like, age regression is as specific to you as, like, your personality is specific to you, as your history is specific to you. It's a very personal and vulnerable thing, and I wish that maybe online that was portrayed more. I get why you could feel like that, but please address that feeling. Next question is, when did you first start regressing? I have a video on my channel all about this, and I've talked about it a bunch before, but it's such a commonly asked one that I thought I would throw it in here anyways. I started regressing, I'm not 100% sure. It feels like my whole life I've regressed, but it was symptomatic a lot of the time, involuntary and symptomatic a lot of the time, and I did not have the language to understand what it was and to harness it therapeutically and to be able to call it age regression until I was 15. That is also when I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, and I had a knowledgeable trauma specialist for the first time. So the answer could be 15 because that's when I had the word for it, but in terms of the actual experience, it was long before that. I couldn't really pin down a specific time. Next question, how do you incorporate age regression and autism into your paganism? Love to know because I'm autistic too and need tips on neurodivergent friendly crafts. Everything in my life is kind of like imbued with my interests, so I couldn't really give you like specific tips. A huge part of my paganism is just loving nature and sort of like worshiping nature. I feel like that's a loaded term. For example, like a lot of my regression time, as much as it can be spent outside, is spent outside incorporating elements of nature and just kind of like ritualistic elements, I guess. And that also is like a key thing to my autism because I really like a lot of the sensory experiences that I get in nature. I love colors of nature, like all the ways that it makes me feel are all directly connected to being autistic. And I also love the like scheduled, ritualistic, traditional, every time it's the same kind of aspect of paganism. Like every year on this Sabbath, we're doing this activity. Like, every time this holiday comes, we're doing this, this, and this, and I get to look forward to that. So, yeah, and I'm always, like, look around. Like, I've got my leaves, I've got my bear. I love things to be, like, themed, and all just, like, I love just enmeshing all my interests whenever I can. So that's what I would say to do, is just like always have a stuffed animal nearby. Like just whatever your sensory needs are, like mix that in with whatever you're doing. Paganism too, don't be too tied down to what other people are doing. There's so much room in paganism to truly make it individual and to truly make it like your own unique experience. And why I say that is because a lot of things that you can read online, they require things of you that are gonna go against your sensory needs. The way certain herbs smell, the way certain textures are, the way certain things feel, like you might need to like do your own thing. Be open to having things be a little bit up to interpretation and prioritizing your sensory needs and your autistic experience within your pagan practice. Next question, how is married life? I'm married and I love the sense of security it brings coming from a broken family. I totally get that. Congratulations on getting married. I love it. It is the first time in my life that when I talk about family, there is actually a sense of security and safety, because now my husband is my family. Before, in terms of true, safe, real, grounded family, I really only felt like I had my brother, and now I also have my husband, and that's like the best feeling. I feel so much more secure, and which is silly because the whole getting married thing for us was kind of trivial. We've been together for so long and acting married for so long, like including like in like a legal sense too, with like power of attorney and like healthcare proxies and stuff. Like we were already that, but now that we're married, like all of that legal stuff is more cemented. He's my next of kin. I had to do my will when I was 22 and get it notarized and everything, and now it would be much easier for him to like carry out my final wishes. There's so much security that comes with it. It's so incredible. It's such a good feeling. Like having the word, I feel like I can like reclaim the word family a little bit, and it's a really, really special, very comforting experience. Next question is a really sweet one. Keeps you going every day, any motivations? So if you don't know, and this is like my first video that you're ever watching or something, I'm severely chronically ill to the point of pretty much like total disability. I'm homebound. There's not much that I can do independently, and everything that I do I have to recover from, even including making this video, and it's very difficult. A lot of people, the self-exiting rate, I guess you could say, among my chronic illnesses is quite high, and I totally understand why that is. I appreciate this question. Definitely what keeps me going every day is my husband, my caregiver, and our bunny. I, at the end of the day, really, 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 really love life, even though I'm very much kept from living it. Like, I love things so deeply and like extremely, and people always thought I was like sensitive and like exaggerating and over dramatic or whatever, so I've always like had to tone down how I feel in front of other people because I just experience a lot of joy, and I think that's a part of being neurodivergent. At least it is for me. Like the way a cool breeze feels from my window is like euphoric to me. Like thinking about my dolls, which are one of my special interests, or like looking at a picture of them, even if I can't interact with them, is like euphoric. My interests are a huge motivator and definitely keep me going. Also just like spite a little bit. Hope that eventually we will see more biomarkers and more cures and more, or a cure, or at least more treatment options. Progress in general. Also just like advocacy and awareness is important to me about my conditions and about just my life. Really mainly though, being with my caregiver and being in our yard and loving on our bunny. All of our animals that we've ever had are rescue animals, and a few of them came from quite unfortunate situations. So that's also really important to me. Like if my life means that another creature will be given a chance at life and like a really nice life, like I want to be here for that as much as I can be. Next, in the most respectable way, will you age regress forever? Love your content, by the way. Thank you. And yeah, I get why people ask this question, but honestly, there's no way for me to know because part of my regression is involuntary, so I don't have a say in it. I don't have control over it. Number two, of course, it's a coping mechanism. I would argue it's my most important coping mechanism. It's up there with the things that I've learned in hypnotherapy and in therapy in general, but it has saved my life. And it is a huge part of my life, and at least right now it's an integral part of my life. And even if it stops becoming a coping mechanism, like I don't need it to cope, it's still really fun. It's still really stress relieving. I'm always gonna have stress. Everyone is. I'm always gonna need stress relief. And again, it's also fun. It's great. Like, I would be sad, I think, if it stopped being a part of my life. If it's symptomatically involuntarily, that piece, if that stopped being a part of my life, hallelujah. Like, but, you know, I don't really have control over that. All the work that I'm doing in therapy, like, I'm doing it, and it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. I kind of don't have a say in it, so. But I will regress forever. For stress relief reasons. And for fun. I can also confidently say that even if I do not regress forever, I will always have childlike interests, and I will always be able to, hopefully, tap into autistic joy, as well as a childlike sense of wonder and whimsy, so I hope that those things stay with me forever, even if regression does not. Next, how severely does your autism affect your mental/physical ability? Honestly, because I deal with severe chronic illness and disability, and also pretty debilitating mental illness, I would say it's almost the opposite. Like, those things affect my autism. Honestly, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, for example, my POTS and my myalgic encephalomyelitis both really, really affect my autonomic nervous system. Obviously, POTS is a form of dysautonomia, which is a disorder of the autonomic nervous system. So my sensory issues, which I already had, are made 100 times worse, 100 times more clinical. Like, it's so rough. And having autism and being chronically ill, like, is a miserable existence, truly. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I would almost flip it around. It's almost like the other way. And, like, or for example, like, when I have an autistic meltdown, that affects my health. So I guess that's the answering it the way it was worded. Yeah, it definitely affects my mental health a lot. And it's definitely tied in with my physical health as well, especially in the sensory department. I think the one good thing about being homebound, though, is I can really have a really good amount of control over my environment. If I had to be outside of my house, that'd be a different story. Dealing with the public and being outside of my, like, controlled space, that is really what sets off the unfortunate parts of being autistic and how it feels in a bad way. Like, also the people that I'm around are all people that are very familiar with me, familiar with my health, familiar with my neurodivergence, so I don't feel judged by them. Like, it is, like, culture shock when I have to interact with a neurotypical person. It is so embarrassing and sometimes triggering and just, like, awkward. But I don't really have to do that. Like, I don't really have to go where my triggers are because I'm stuck here. So it's like I would have a lot more to say to that if I wasn't, like, only ever seeing one person pretty much and in a completely controlled environment. Next, tips to stay safe if you involuntarily regress in public on accident. Totally depends on what your regression looks like and to what age. I would say that for your own safety, if you are someone who regresses very young, and when you are regressed you are more incapacitated or unable to, for example, like, get yourself help, get yourself home, regulate, whatever, to try to not go out in public by yourself as much as possible. Obviously, of course, that's not going to be 100% unavoidable, but I would recommend that. And I would also recommend seeking clinical help if you feel that your regression could put you or someone else in danger or even just in emotional unsafety, because, like, that would just be something to work on in a clinical environment. But if it happens, I would say to call for help if you need it from a trusted person. Try to go somewhere quiet where you can regulate. I would have a plan, like a regulation plan, that you could write when you're kind of in your more able state of mind, sort of, to remind your regressed self if, you know, you can't think of it in the moment. Make an action plan for yourself of what to do if this happens. Maybe bring some comfort items or something that you can use to ground yourself with. And just try not to freak out and sort of be patient with yourself and know that, like, you will come back to your adult mind and you will regain your faculties, but to give yourself a second and to give yourself patience, and if you feel unsafe, to definitely get help. Someone asked, what's your favorite comfort food during winter/fall? So, I have gastroparesis as well as a full tract delay, so my body doesn't work and I cannot really eat many of the foods that I love the most. But I would say definitely pumpkin cookies that my caregiver makes that are gastroparesis friendly and vegan and gluten-free, as well as soup. I love soup. Do you have any embarrassment about using mobility aids? If so, how do you get over it? No. I have no embarrassment about using my mobility aids. I did very briefly in the beginning of getting my cane, and by the time that I needed my wheelchair, I just didn't care. I get why you could feel embarrassed. I understand very well that ableism is rampant in our society, as are social stigmas around disabled people. Very aware of that. And I don't know if this is like a neurodivergent thing, I don't really get embarrassed very easily. There are some things I get embarrassed by, but unless it's like one of those things, I don't. And mobility, it's like, that's just not one of the things. So yeah, and again, it's like a critical thinking thing. Like, there's no need to be embarrassed. And for me, that's like enough reason to not be. Which is stupid because in other situations, there's also no need for me to be embarrassed, but I still am. Like, arbitrarily, like, I don't get embarrassed though. Like, it would be like if I got embarrassed for needing glasses or something. Or braces. Which some people do, because again, there's a social stigma. Anytime you have anything that's like remotely different, it's like, oh, but like, okay, like, is it my fault if I need glasses because I can't see? No. So I get why someone would feel embarrassed, but I personally don't. And I would say that if you are, a good way to get over it is twofold. One, to just think objectively, is there a reason to be embarrassed? Am I doing something weird or shameful that's like affecting like community consent? No. So there's not a rational or like logical need to be embarrassed. Two, like, it's no one's business. You're just helping yourself. Like, why would you not help yourself if you could help yourself? And then also, like, think about yourself as a third person. Like, if your friend needed a mobility aid, would you be like, ha 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 ha? No. Or like, that's so what, like, no, you wouldn't. And if you were to do that, what would that say about you? You're kind of a bad person, no? So it's like, I would frame it like that. Like, if you were your own best friend, how would you react? What advice would you give yourself if you were your own best friend? And be your own best friend. Because you probably, yes, good, be your own best friend. That's what I try to do to myself. Doesn't always work, but yeah, I don't get embarrassed. I also dress, interestingly. I get stared at, glared at everywhere I go. Don't care. It used to affect me, but at this point I'm like, you're weird for your, like, what? Like, my heart rate's 160. I have bigger tofu to fry. And again, you're valid if you get embarrassed. I know, I totally understand what that's like, but what would you tell your younger self? Also, thank you so much for your YouTube videos. Your channel became my safe space. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. What would I tell my younger self? Oh, so many things. Many of them would turn this video very sad. Warning. You're gonna be disabled by the time you're 20. You need full-time care. I don't think I would even tell myself about it. Let her have her semi-able-bodied time, but I would tell her that her abuse is not her fault, that it doesn't make her dirty or unpure or tainted in any way or unlovable, that thoughts and feelings are valid. By the way, you're autistic. You will survive the things that it feels like you won't. You will be in a very, very happy, healthy, loving relationship. You will be able to reparent yourself. You will be able to have a healthy experience of regression. You'll find ways to cope. A lot of ways. You'll find cool ways. You're a pretty good problem solver in terms of figuring out how to survive. And you'll eventually be safe. Not right now. Eventually you will be. And also, it's okay to not love your parents. Anyways, it's okay to not love the people that are abusing you. Doesn't make you a bad kid. Makes you a sane person. And at the same time, it's also okay to love the people that are abusing you when they're your parents. Makes sense. But it's also okay to not love them, and it's also okay to have a really complicated relationship with that dynamic. Which I do. But yeah. Okay. What are you excited about? Do you have anything special planned regarding fall and Halloween? Yes. So, Halloween is also the pagan holiday Samhain. And it's my favorite. It's actually not my favorite. It's one of my favorites. It's tied for favorite. There's a lot of really fun traditions that mommy and I do. Some of them we've come up with ourselves. Others are just pagan traditions. We hand out candy. We do a silent supper. We do an offering bowl. We do honoring the dead stuff. We're gonna honor our rats this year, which is gonna be really sad but also sweet. We have our Halloween costumes planned. They're really cute. I can't wait to share them with you guys. I have a few cute outfits I really want to try to wear before the year is up, or the season is up. I have my friend who's visiting. That's gonna be really exciting, and she's gonna be in our Halloween costumes as well. Those are some things I'm excited about for this season. Favorite music. Is there a difference between your regular taste and your taste when regressed? Yes. So I would say I have 3 different tastes. I have my regular taste, my regression taste, and my my flaring taste when my health is bad. When my health is bad, I can only tolerate very slow, low, calm music. And my favorite subgenre for that is called dreamy forest music. I also really like Native American flute music and some calm, sleepy Celtic music as well. When I'm regressed, I like those things as well as lullabies and music that I used to sleep to when I was growing up. I have a few like special interest type CDs that I listened to every single night for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, every single night. So I listen to those things. And then I have a pretty broad music taste. I will put some artists up that are like my regular taste, but my favorite genres for that are definitely folk music. Folk music is really my favorite, and I love exploring different cultures' folk music. And I also like alternative and like indie and rock and stuff, but I really like folk music. And I really like Irish and Celtic music. Do you ever want children or just animals? So I get asked this question a lot, and that's why I chose to include it. I never normally answer it because I think it's a little weird to ask. And maybe it's not weird to ask, and it just feels weird to be asked, considering like the content that I'm making is about disability and about trauma and stuff. I don't know why maybe it's not weird to ask. Maybe that's just a vibe I'm getting, and I should sit with why it feels weird. I think now that I'm married, it makes a little bit more sense to get it. Maybe it's just me having a weird reaction. It very well could be, and I will sit with the implication of why that is. But I definitely want to rescue more animals in the future. Our dream is to have like, and this is like an able-bodied dream, but to have like land and have some of my friends live with us in a kind of communal way, and then have basically a mini farm sanctuary. So animals primarily rescued from the factory farming industry, particularly special needs animals. That's my dream. I would love that. I really hope to eventually, at the very least, have a rescue pig and more rescue rats eventually. I'd love to have more bunnies. And yeah, there are a lot of animals I'm allergic to, so we would have to figure that out. Definitely gonna be more rescue babies in our future when I'm more equipped to handle not only their care, but also the stress. How do I know if I should get tested for autism? Okay, this one is gonna be a little tricky to answer because I think it's so like personal. Like it's so gonna be a case-by-case basis. I would say in general, if you have researched the diagnostic criteria and you feel like you fit the diagnostic criteria, if maybe people your whole life have told you that you should get screened or asked you if you were autistic, or if you have people in your life who are autistic and those are the people that you relate to the most, if there is a history of autism or neurodivergence in your family, even if it's undiagnosed, if you kind of, you know, you got a little radar going off, then maybe they should get screened. Yeah, those I would say are the main things, but like, it totally depends. You do want to look into other things as well though, and see like, you know, here are my symptoms, here's what I'm experiencing, what kind of diagnostic profile maybe fits this best. You could have a consult with, not even do the screening yet, but like have a consult with a clinician and just kind of tell them generally and, you know, ask their opinion. Obviously, insurance might not always cover that, and then it's like annoying, and like getting any mental health care, but screenings in particular, I feel like, or even consults, like that's a privilege for sure. And I'm very lucky that I was able to get screened at all. Like, you're so valid even if, you know, you don't have a diagnosis, and you deserve to treat the things that are affecting you and accommodate yourself even if you don't have like the paperwork, you know what I mean? But for me, I will say the reason that I knew I wanted to get tested was because my friends brought it to me and told me that I should, and that they thought I was autistic. People in my whole life have brought it up to me. People used to talk about it behind my back, and then it would get back to me. And I, for a long time, just like had a bad misrepresentation of what autism looks like, especially in women and in traumatized women, and it's sort of like the different like levels of support needs. It was definitely my friends and just hearing it a lot and looking into it more and understanding it better. I was like, oh, yeah, let me get screened. And I did, and I'm autistic, and now it seems like how did I not know it all along? And apparently everyone in my life knew before me? Whatever. How do you go about organizing / how do you go about your organization / planning process with everything you balance? It is all completely at the mercy of my health. So instead of God willing, my husband and I say bod willing, like body willing. So every day it's my body willing. What of this huge list of things that I need to do can I get done? Today it's filming this video for you. It's just like every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, what do we got for today? What's the lot? And then, you know, I have to recover from everything I do as well. Thought I saw mommy. Next, how did you get started investigating CPTSD? I want to take this hypothesis to my psychiatrist. First of all, very sorry that you suspect having CPTSD. It is a hellish one. It's the worst. I did not investigate it. I had no idea what it was, didn't know I had it. I was in therapy, and my clinician diagnosed me, brought it up to me, gave me the whole rundown, all that stuff. I started learning about it after I was already diagnosed, and I started reading about it, and she recommended a book that she read and like helps her treat her patients. So I will put it on screen. Best book ever. Definitely read it if you're in an emotionally safe place to do so, because it is largely geared at clinicians as well as patients, but like it's kind of like it doesn't dance around kind of the topics and the trauma and stuff. So definitely like proceed with caution with it. But yeah, that book was really eye-opening to me. But I did my investigating after I was already diagnosed because I wanted to learn more about it. Where do you get clothes that fit your stuffed animals? You can put them in newborn to 3 to 6 months, depending how big they are. So you can put them in baby clothes, or you can just look on Etsy. Or like secondhand, because some people will make clothes for their stuffed animals. For example, my best friend likes to make them stuff. Like, she crocheted me and one of my stuffed animals matching bandanas. I've knitted a few accessories for my stuffed animals as well, so you can also make your own. But I would say Etsy, anywhere people sell their handmade creations. Also, Build-A-Bear has clothes, but they're only gonna fit Build-A-Bears, and they have really gone down in quality. I recommend looking for secondhand Build-A-Bear clothes. Trust me. I've watched your video on how to tell someone you regress, but I'm wondering if I have to tell people. Like my partner, I'm fighting with myself on how to, or if I should tell him. There is absolutely no. there's no thing that says you need to tell anyone that you regress. It is absolutely your business. It is personal, it is private, it is vulnerable, and if you want it to stay private, totally okay. I would say the only time that you should disclose, is if it is something that comes up involuntarily and symptomatically that could affect your safety or the health of your relationship. Like if it's a problem, if it's causing an issue or getting in the way of your relationship or your safety, that is the only time I think you should or need to disclose. And even then, you can do it in uncertain terms, just as long as it gets the message across generally. Like you could say like, sorry, like I'm having a trauma response, here's why, and here's what I need from you. Or you can use whatever language feels healthy but also vague. You do not need to go, like, really up to you and whatever your needs are. That being said, like for me, it was always necessary for me to tell my friends, my close friends and partners, because it was gonna always come up, and it was gonna come up in ways that only felt fair to them for me to disclose. Obviously when I'm close to someone anyways, and now I'm completely open about it online, so it doesn't even matter. But yeah, like it's totally up to you when and how and if you do it all. There's no obligation, no obligation at all. I think though it can be beneficial a lot of the time to disclose, so if you feel like it would be, then do it, but if you feel like it wouldn't be, then don't. However, I would say that if you're worried that they won't be supportive, break up with them. Because if the reason you're not telling them is because you think they're gonna have a bad reaction, like, what does that say about them? You're afraid to tell them as opposed to like, hey, it's just personal and private. That might be something to think about. You want to be with someone that loves all of you and supports all of you. Next, what's your favorite regression activity? Definitely also talked about many of my favorite activities, but I love talking about my favorite stuff. So, definitely just being outside. No matter what else I'm doing outside, tea parties, anything that has to do with play food and imaginative play, I really just love playing. I don't know. Cuddling with my stuffed animals and my caregiver, hanging out with my dolls, playing with my dolls, changing my dolls, looking at my dolls, thinking about my dolls. Same with my stuffed animals, looking at my stuffed animals, touching my stuffed animals. I really just like, sometimes just like touching and handling my things, especially because of my health. Like most of the things that are my favorite activities, I almost never have access to. In that case, it's literally just gonna be like holding them, petting them, touching them, dancing with them. But yeah, I love all that, and I love playing with my baby doll especially, and like feeding her and like doing her care. I really love when my caregiver reads books to me or plays with me because he's so funny, and doing like imaginative play with him is the funniest thing ever. I have a lot of vlogs of us doing that on Patreon. Next, what simple thing brings you the most joy? Everything. Everything. In fact, I don't subscribe to the belief that there is such a thing as something simple, especially as someone with a very total disability. When it's bad, I lose pretty much all ability and I have to lie flat in a dark room with an eye mask and noise cancelling headphones, and I cannot even think with an internal monologue. At that point, all I am is a meditative brain in the soup of my body. So like, to me, nothing is simple. The breeze from the fan on my face, like the ability that my eyes have, like the fact that there are cones and rods in my eyes and they allow me to see color and to differentiate between different shades of color. Like the fact that, you know, like the fact that like my bed is comfy, like everything, to me nothing is simple. To me it's all really huge actually. And yeah, I think that more people would also benefit from that kind of mindset, even if it's not something that's already like integral to your experience. I would say the simple things, like, and how much I love them, that is really what gets me through every day. Like, it is such a privilege to be on camera right now, wearing this, having a stuffed animal, being able to drink water, like, the fact that I can like tell that my sweatshirt's pink, like, all these things are big deals to me, and they all bring me an immense amount of joy. Okay, trigger warning kind of for this one. But how do you deal with people potentially sexualizing you / nasty and hurtful people? It's hard. I think people on the internet in general fail to understand respect, context, critical thinking, nuance. It makes people angry that I ask to not be sexualized in certain contexts online. And it's like that I have the audacity to ask for respect or something. It's like so weird. Obviously, I'm an adult woman. I'm a well-rounded adult woman. Regression is not the be and end all of my life or my personality or my experience. To each their own, obviously. But when I'm sharing content that focuses on autism or inner child healing or my regression or just like an innocent state of being, I ask that it not be sexualized. In that context, I do not wish to be sexualized. And obviously, at the end of the day, I can ask for anything. I can ask for $1 million. Does that mean I'm gonna get it? No. Especially online. And I understand, and I think everyone that wants to have a account needs to understand that you can ask people to not sexualize you till the cows come home. You have no control at the end of the day over what someone is going to do. And people are going to hate on you, lie about you, and sexualize you. And there is nothing you can do to stop either of these three things. Absolutely nothing. At all. So, and that sucks. But that is like the risk of being on the internet. And I knew that when I started. And it's definitely hard and uncomfortable, but one thing that helps is I'm never actually regressing in my content ever. If I'm regressed, my phone is nowhere near me. No one is taking pictures of me. Never. Most of my content, even if it exists in like a real setting, like say I'm setting up a tea party and I have every intention to have that tea party, to regress, to play, to have fun, etc. If I want to take pictures, that's going to be the first thing that happens. Then the phone is going to go away. And then the rest of the time will be the rest of the time. So nowhere in my content are you actually seeing my regressed self. So even if I'm being sexualized, they're not sexualizing my regressed self because there is no footage of my regressed self that exists. So, and even like on Patreon and stuff, like when I'm vlogging, I'm not regressed in my vlog clips. So having that separation is good. Like, and that's really all I can do. I feel like I always put the watermark on my pictures so that at least if people are doing it, you know, maybe they have a moment of self-reflection. They probably won't, but at least my intention is clear, you know. Kind of just have to like be compartmentalized about it and sort of just feel like, you know, once the picture's on the internet, it's not really mine anymore. And I have no more control over it. And the thing I do have control over is whether or not I'm regressed in the pictures, which I'm not, and how I present myself, which is with the watermark. So once that's done, that's it. I feel like I kind of already addressed the nasty and hurtful people portion, but just reminding myself that it really doesn't have much to do with me, and I pity those people. How can you tell the difference between being your autistic self and regressing? I think this might be something that I would like to make a full video on, but I got asked it a bunch of times, so I'm going to do a little synopsis of an answer, hopefully. I don't know, these answers have been quite rambly. I'm going to preface this with I'm about to only speak for myself. This is only my experience. The way that you can tell or your experience might be completely different from what I'm about to say, okay? But for me, and I think for most people that regress, when you regress, it is a very, very, very specific experience that sort of leaves no ambiguity, at least for me. When I'm regressing, I'm regressing. My mind is completely different. The landscape of my brain is a totally different place. Especially, I think, if you're someone that regresses younger, which I am, like, it is starkly different to your typical adult experience, including your adult autistic experience. My mind completely simplifies and I truly revert to a younger age completely. And that's evident not just in the way I'm acting and talking, but also in the way that I'm thinking. It's like a light switch being on and off. Like, it's that different. Like, when I'm regressed, and it's really hard to explain how regression feels if you haven't experienced it, but if you are experiencing it, you'll know. And if you don't know it's regression, you will know that there is something up. You'll know there's something going on. And in the beginning, part of why I make this content actually is so that when it happens, you can recognize it. Because when I didn't know what that was, it was terrifying. It was really terrifying. Especially when it was symptomatic and involuntary, it was terrifying to have that happen. And to not have a word for it and to not understand what's going on in your brain is really scary. So part of why I make my content is to bring awareness to regression, because for the people where it is symptomatic and it is involuntary and you're not finding out through an online community, you're finding out because you're experiencing it, it's scary. And yeah, so regression versus like normal is like a starkly different experience. When I'm regressed, I'm still autistic. And when I'm an adult, I'm still autistic. But regressed is one thing and being adult is another. So yeah, it's just, I hope that makes sense. So yeah, being regressed is just, it's like the lights turn different in my head. Like, if right now all the lighting in this room turned like pink, I'd be like, it's pink in here. You know what I mean? I wouldn't question if it was pink. I could see that it was pink. And that's kind of how it feels in my brain when I'm regressing. And it depends how regressed I am too, but even regressing like a little bit and kind of, you know, in the very back of your mind, knowing that that's what's happening, and like, this stuff is so hard to explain without like being in my head, but you can cognitively know you're regressing. The adult part of you can know that. But it's just it's so hard to explain. I feel like there's no real, it's so hard, like, and I almost wish there was more both descriptive language for it as well as clinical language for it, but it's just like a totally different thing. Like, yeah, but obviously part of my autism and part of a lot of people's autism is autistic joy, which is a very childlike experience, and stimming, having maybe childlike interest and special interests. And at least for me, like, I've kind of felt the same almost my whole life. Like, I remember what it was like to be 3, and it's kind of the same as it was like to be right now. Like, obviously now I feel more like, it's so hard to explain, but I've always had the same interests as when I was a kid, and that's like part of my autism, because those are also special interests. But it's like, let me think of how to put this. When it comes to my cognitive experience in terms of how I perceive the world, my morals, my interests, even to some degree my memories, there's a very distinct and clear like chord through all of it that is the same. Like, same interests, same morals, a lot of the same ways of perceiving things, same like identities, same like ways I want to express myself through my clothes. But when it comes to the cognitive element of experience, when I'm regressed, it is different. When it comes to all those other things, it is the same. So, and when it's the same, that's like stuff that plays into like the autism stuff, like the special interests and the autistic joy. But I can be all those things and be regressed, and when I'm regressed, it is a completely different cognitive landscape. Even though the interests are still there, the perception is still there, etc., it is a different thing. It is truly a retreat to a younger age. And the younger, obviously, the more starkly different the landscape, right? Of course. Different, like, you think differently. I hope that makes sense. I feel like it's almost like a contradiction. Like, because in a way I've been the same my whole life since as young as 3, and that's how it feels. But on the other hand, when I'm regressing, it feels my cognitive experience is completely different. So that feels like, it sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. Like, you just have to be in my brain, but you're not, and I'm sure other people can relate to what I'm saying, but yeah. So it's like I'm always autistic, but I'm not always regressed. And even when I'm not regressed, I still have the childlike interests, I still have the self-expression, I still have the morals, I still have the interests, but it is a different landscape in my mind. And I have a different, like, oh, it's so hard to explain. I don't know, but I'm doing a bad job at answering that. But I hope it makes sense. Probably doesn't at all. Also, I didn't really answer the question, like, how can you tell? I would say that if you're regressing, you will know. But you also, but like, I don't know. That's just my experience. But from what I've, like, researched and talked to my clinicians about, if you're regressing, you will know. And even if you don't have that word for it, you will know something is up. Do you find yourself having to keep regression away from certain parts of your big life? Of course. Of course. Regression very much has a time and place, and that's part of, like, why in therapy one of the things I, like, work on is trying to keep a handle on the involuntary piece, because if it's like tax season and I'm doing my taxes for innumerable amount of hours and suddenly I'm regressing, that's gonna throw a wrench in me doing my taxes. So, of course, like, the same way if you had a newborn or a toddler, you wouldn't be like, hello toddler, can you, like, call, you know, the doctor and talk to the doctor about your blood work results? No. Hey toddler, can you go to work? You have to keep it separate. And I also think that a part of having a well-rounded and healthy adult life is also to have time for your adult self. And if that doesn't feel good for you, like, you know, literally, like, again, this is just my experience, to each their own. Like, if what is healthy and best for you is to be in a regress headspace, you know, like 99% of the time, okay, as long as you have someone to cover those adult responsibilities. I don't. Like, there's a lot of things in my household and to do with my health that I need to deal with. And I also want to have an adult experience, at least partially. So, yeah, like, if, trigger warning, but, like, intimacy, adult conversations, like, activism, or, like, political things, working, paying your bills, paying your taxes, doctor's appointments, like, even certain, like, media, like shows and stuff. There's many areas of your life that you want to keep your regression away from, to try to give yourself a more productive and balanced and, like, kind of well-rounded experience, but also because it can be potentially triggering or traumatizing to be in that headspace and then have to deal with one of those things. And that's something that, like, if you, like I used to, regress involuntarily a lot of the time, that's why you really want to get clinical intervention, to try to, like, manage that and figure out, you know, what to do when I'm in a moment that I need to be an adult for and this gets triggered. So, yeah, and regression is not all sunshine and rainbows by any means either. So even in that state, you might be having to suddenly deal with, like, big and difficult emotions and triggers. So it's hard. It's very much like a balancing act, and you really want to, again, like, work alongside a clinician if you can, if you struggle with those things, which I've done. And I've made action plans for, you know, if my adult self is needed and something triggers me to regress, like, what to do in those situations. But that's also why, like, my regression room is my sanctuary. That is separate from all other aspects of my life, like, and my work and everything. Like, when I'm in there, like, that is a sacred space, and obviously not everyone has the luxury to have that, right? Like, and obviously I have tons of elements of my regression and my childlike interests all over the house, and that's totally fine too. Adults can like cute and childish things without being regressors or whatever. But long story short, yes, like, definitely I find myself having to keep regression away from certain parts of my life. I think that is how I try to maintain a healthy balance. And again, what a healthy balance looks like for you is going to be different than what a healthy balance looks like for me. So I'm just telling you my experience. I'm not telling you you should do this or you should do that. Like, what do I know? I'm just saying, like, for me, yeah, I would like to have a generally well-rounded experience. Favorite meaningful, this is the last question. Favorite meaningful ways to add intimacy into your dynamic with chronic illness. So obviously I'm talking about general intimacy, not like intimacy, you know, for this. But this would be another thing that I think would be good to make a full video on, so I'll just do like a quick little nutshell, I guess. But making the things that are medical and clinical seem a little softer. For example, I'm gonna be decorating my rollator soon, and that will make it feel less like, oh, the rollator, I can't walk like a normal person. Like, it'll make it feel like, oh yeah, I get to like be a little fun granny time, you know. But with a partner, I think, yeah, like if they're, you know, bringing you your water, bringing it in like a cute mug or a cute cup, and being soft, kind of being like soft and loving with everything, like including humor as much as you can. I think including softness and including humor in everything that you possibly can, even if it's traditionally like a strictly medical experience, to do that. That's like my nutshell answer. But to go into specific ways to do that, I think would be for another video for another day, because I've been yapping for a million years and I've taken a bunch of breaks, hence why maybe the light has changed throughout this video. But that's gonna be it for me. It is time to rest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like to see another Q&A, please let me know, or if there's any content you would like to see from me, please let me know. And if you would like to check out the rest of my long form content, the majority of which is like vlogs and interactive videos, that's all available on my Patreon. And yeah, that's enough. Sorry I've been yapping at you for a million years. This is what happens when I don't script a video, and I finally have the energy to do this. So I love you guys. I hope everything I said made sense. And as always, I will see you in the next one.